I'm Haroon Rasheed, as you can see. I'm the president at my green club, and I was asked to present here about just a project we're doing at our school. So essentially, we have this, we're trying to do a huge environmental push at my high school, and we're calling it Standing Up to CO2. And then there's a bunch of environmental program subsets that come from that. Slide. So these are the two main programs we have. We have a transportation program, and we have a triple R program, or otherwise known as the Reuse, Reduce, and Recycle student program. But essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to get students involved in the environment. Now, obviously all of you guys here are passionate about environmental studies or something of the sort, which is why you're here. And for the high school students, why you're not right now taking SATs, there's an SAT day today, I'm not sure how many of you knew that. But there's SATs going on, and you're here listening to my presentation, which I feel really honored to do. So just a bit about me. How I got involved in environmental activism was through a project I did in freshman year with my health class. We did an audit with EarthTeam. EarthTeam came by and we did a food scrap audit with them. So essentially we went dumpster diving, is essentially what the teacher called it. So we went around school, grabbed a bunch of garbage bags, ripped them open, found some pretty interesting stuff in there. We also found food scrap material. And this is the food scrap bin, which was already here. And essentially what food scrap material is food or soil paper or anything of that sort. Or cardboard is also included in that. And all that can be diverted from the landfill. So we were sorting through to calculate how much can be diverted. And we found something really interesting because about 50% of all the stuff that was in there could be diverted from the landfill. So all of us were like, dang, why aren't we doing that already? And then the guy was like, hey, you guys could start something about that. I mean, student activism is what all this was about. So I was a Life Scout, I'm also in Boy Scouts, by the way. And I was a Life Scout at the time and I needed to do an Eagle project. So I was like, great, Eagle project. That's what I want to do. So then I went into all of these programs, and then from there I branched out into a bunch of other stuff that I'll be talking about later. But the first thing we're going to be talking about is transportation. And before we get too in depth with that, let's talk about just CO2 emissions in the Alameda County. So as you can see, this 46% of all CO2 emissions in Alameda County is due to transportation, which is why there's such an emphasis on transportation action projects, like the one they did at my school that I'll be talking about later as well. And there's such an emphasis on student activism, because since we're the next generation, we're going to be taking up that mantle shortly after we graduate from college, or even now, which is why we need to get involved in this as well. And then there's also the waste part that we're targeting with the Triple R program. So slide. So how we did the Transportation Action Project at my school was there was an audit, and then we had a brainstorm and a fishbowl discussion on ways we could reduce the amount of transportation we use and the amount of CO2 we add to the environment with our transportation habits. And then from there, slide, we got actual data. So I'm going pretty fast through this because this is all a lot of boring stuff, and I'd rather just talk to people. I like that better. So this is actual data from my school, and as you can tell, there wasn't a huge improvement. There wasn't like a magnificent change in exactly what we did. And rather than being disheartened by that, because that is pretty disheartening sometimes, but rather than being disheartened, I took that as a challenge. So me and my team in Green Club, and we're also involved with the Green Team in our school, that's part of ASB, Assistant Student Body, and then, Associate Student Body. And then from there, we took this as a challenge. We actually found this data from EarthTeam. EarthTeam was nice enough to give it to us, and I shared it with my Green Team and my Green Club members. And that's why we're putting so much of an emphasis on transportation now as well. Because, I mean, just look at that. This is all by car, right? And most of the transportation was mainly in Fremont. And you don't really need a car to get all the way around Fremont. You could be using public transportation. You could be walking, there's running that you can do as well. And all that could be changed. So that's why I'm trying to inspire a lot more students, and my team is trying to get the whole student body involved with a lot of the programs we're doing. So slide, this is the main student activity that we're doing at our school. This is completely student run. All this is put together by me or the Earth Team. I mean, not me, me or Green Club or a Green Team at our school. So there's 3 phases to a program we are calling the Food Scrap Program. And this is essentially the Triple R program, but it's for food scraps as well. So phase 1 happened last year, and I'll talk about that a bit more, but it was essentially the same setup as the Transportation Action Project. We did an audit, we implemented some changes by bringing in food scrap bins, like this one around school, and then we did another audit at the end after 6 months to see how much we changed. And we actually calculated how much we saved, roughly. We actually saved quite a lot, and I was pretty inspired by that slide. So 13,720 gallons. That's a lot, and I was completely surprised by that. I was like, wow, we actually did that by just placing bins like this around campus and talking to people and getting them involved. And it really showed me the power of how, like, once a student is motivated or a student body is motivated as a group to change something, how much we can save. 68 cubic yards, and this was just in a 6-month period. This is the pilot program. I was super excited by this. We got recognized by the school newspaper, MSJTV. We even got a bit of a quote in the district from them and congratulating us on our achievements. We even got grants. So this pushed all of us even farther into this year's program. Slide. This year's program is called it's part of the food scrap program, and we're calling it the triple stream program. And this is a triple stream bid. So we based this program off of feedback we got last year. So last year, as you can tell, we actually had a much slimmer one than this, but they're really flimsy sometimes. Like you can easily knock them over. Some students were just not motivated because they were on different sides of different sides of the quad. They had to walk to one side to make sure, and we had staffing, but some people didn't want to do staffing, so just me and my team sometimes, just making sure everybody was doing the right job. So this way, we're going to be replacing these with all the garbage bins, or we're trying to replace these with all the garbage bins and all the food scrap bins at school. So these are super expensive though. So we had to raise $8,500 to get these, which we were thankfully able to do through our school's grant money or just through applying for grants for it. And so we actually bought 4 of those for $2,000 each, and we're going to be placing them on the quad and around campus. And so the main benefits that we see through this improvement in the food scrap program is, first of all, you can't knock these over. Like a football player could come and run at these, trying to knock them over. They're not going to get knocked over. So these are super sturdy. They're really heavy as well. And we want to make them a point of pride in Mission High School, because this is actually one of the first high schools in Mission that are going to be getting these. So we want to make the students have pride in their achievements. This is an image off the internet. We actually customized this to make it recycling, waste, compost, and on the sides we have the Mission Center High School logo and the Green Club logo to make to recognize the parties involved. And so the main benefit of that as well, not only being super sturdy and football proof, this is also going to be recycling. So for the first time on campus, we're going to be putting recycling bins outside of the classrooms. And this is a pretty, I'm not going to say dangerous, since I'm super involved in this. To me, it's like dangerous, but it was a dangerous step. It was a dangerous step because we tried this a couple of years ago before I was in the high school, and there was a huge amount of contamination. They just had to completely cut out the program because students weren't listening and they weren't able to do it, and that was really disheartening to me. So right now, what we're trying to do is bring that back, and hopefully from the push we got last year, from all our activism last year, this is going to work out well. We're getting all of these people involved, including the janitors, the administration, the district, Green Club, Green Team. We're involving other service clubs who want to get involved with it. We even had to negotiate. It was actually about 9.5K or so. We had to negotiate it down to 8.5, since that's all we had in Green Club through our grants. We were able to do that. They were really nice about that. And what we're going to be having is we're going to be having a Green Week to celebrate all of this stuff at the end of the year. So all of the programs are doing, Green Team's activities, Green Club's activities. We're going to be having a super large week of it's going to be like a homecoming V2 of just all the stuff we're doing. So we're going to be having speakers come in. We're going to be having like contests and competitions and speeches that are going to be given just by students themselves. So it's going to be a huge part of that. And the main point of this presentation for me is not to just tell you about the stuff I'm doing and for you to absorb that knowledge and be like, okay, that's another high school. It's for us to feed off each other's energy. Obviously, all of us are involved with the environment. We're all passionate. We see the problem, and it's going to be in our generation that we're probably going to have to solve it. Because it's going to be us, the adults might not, no offense to any of the adults here, but you guys might not be here when we're like your age, and we're going to be having to step up and solve this problem. Wow. Right? Honestly, okay, be honest here. Be honest here. Realistic here. So we're going to be the next generation. We're going to be up there. We're going to be the ones fighting. We're going to be in Ms. Gardner's shoes. We're going to be the ones telling the next generation to do it. And we have to be passionate about it. So for me, this is like a rejuvenation of my energy. For me, it's to remember these are other people who are like-minded these are other people who are as passionate as I am. These are people that are going to be changing it with me. I'm going to be meeting these people in the future. These are going to be my new teammates when I'm going to be out there trying to change stuff. And for me, it's for me to realize that it's not just me. Sometimes it's a pretty lonely board out there with just me and a couple of other, the Green Team and Green Club working to change stuff. So for me, it's to realize that other people are out there like me. And I hope it's like that for you guys too, for us to feed off each other's energy like that. But so that's it with my presentation. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me now. Yeah.
How did it work with the administration of handling the different free compartments of dealing with it? Once it was in the containers, did you get any?
For the triple stream project?
Yes.
So we actually bought these. These are being shipped right now, but we already talked with the administration. How it's going to work is that, first of all, there was a lot of donuts involved. I'm going to put that out there first. There was a lot of donuts involved with the janitorial staff for them to realize that, hey, it's going to be easier. Come on, here's some donuts. You guys want to get involved with this, right? So they were actually surprisingly active about it. They were really involved to do it because our vice principal is actually super active in this type of stuff. So Ms. Diana Bomba, that's her name. She was the one who inspired me to go down this path along with the freshman audit. And so what she said is that, first of all, she brought up the idea of getting these, but if I'm understanding your question correctly, you're asking how did administration deal with the garbage being sorted out of here? Or
Yeah, how do they handle the recyclables, the waste, and the compost?
Oh, okay.
Once it
So,
was
yeah.
in the containers to handle it properly.
Yeah, so we already have the 3 dumpsters in the back of the school that can be put there. The janitorial staff already agreed to, first, once these are filled, these are going to be dumped, I think, twice a week, and this is going to be dumped 3 times a week since this can get a bit smelly sometimes. We're going to be, they're going to be removing it. There's actually, you can't see it here, but there's you can see it there. There's a latch that goes down, and then you can just pop these open. The janitorial staff is going to take them out and put them in the appropriate pit. There's going to be audits every now and then to make sure that it's running smoothly, and if the janitorial staff has our phone numbers and contact info, if there's any questions, they can always come and ask us. Any other questions? Yes?
I know you ran over it quickly, but on the transportation audit, it looked like you reduced walking.
Yes. So that's why it's a
What
bit.
went wrong?
I actually don't know because this was for 3 classes last year. I think it's, yeah, there it is. There it is. So we actually reduced walking, you're right. But then we also reduced the amount of cars, the amount of miles we went in the cars, so that was a bit of an even out there. But I actually don't know what happened because this was, I think, last year or something, and it wasn't in one of my classes.
And over what time frame?
I think it was 1 week. 1 week that they, so they did I didn't
Looks like you just went fewer miles
It looks
in
like fewer
general.
miles overall,
Yeah.
It might, yeah, probably was that.
Which,
But,
so in percentage, it could be the same or similar, yeah. Interesting, yeah.
So for us, it was,
Knock off a few
it
people.
wasn't, yeah, as I said before, it wasn't a huge change. So for us, it was kind of disheartening, but at the same time, it just shows how much we can improve. Always taking the silver lining. Yeah?
So I'm trying to start a little program similar to that, getting the green waste bins at my school, because we tried them 1 year and then it became an issue. How do you, the picture you had there, do you label your bins that exact way? Because I feel like students are going to be confused at my school, like where do they put all their stuff? Like, how do you work with that?
So are you talking, not the triple stream, or the,
Just for compost bins.
okay, so one slide back. So these bins.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we
You
had
have the
these,
signs on there?
we had signs on there. We also were able to talk our APES teacher into sometimes offering extra credit for them to come out and staff the bins. And by staffing, what we mean is that throughout lunch, there would be a person standing there making sure that when people come out to toss away their food, that they will also be separating the food scrub material into the food scrub bin. And eventually, we'll just assimilate it over time into the students' train. Yeah?
So for the waste audit, it sounded like you got personally inspired to kind of get involved and kind of lead that. Can you say more about how you built support for it and kind of engaged students in any kind of challenges in trying to get in kind of a critical mass of people involved?
Oh, sure. So for me, it was really, I think for a lot of things, it's really finding people who are as passionate as you. So in the class I was with, there was another student named Stanley Group, and he's one of my best friends now. And we were both really inspired by it, and we just happened to be talking after class about it. We were like, dude, that's really messed up. I mean, we could be changing that right now. And so we were both really inspired to do it, and I said, oh, I'm probably going to be doing an Eagle project on it. And he said, let's get involved with a couple of other friends. And so it was with Stanley, I was able to become president of Green Club after that. I contacted Green Club. They didn't have much going on at the time, so they were super supportive in getting that. Also, I found that building connections with administration is so useful. Like for Miss Brumbaugh, usually it was just like, it was a Dear Diary type thing. I just went in there after school, like she was usually free, so I just went in and I just talked to her about my day. And we became really close after that, so we were able to, with her I was able to branch out and contact the other groups. Janitorial staff got to listen to Miss Brumbaugh, so they were able to do that as well. And it was really about finding like-minded people. So Miss Brumbaugh was super involved, as I mentioned before. So she was able to help me out. We were able to convert some other people into helping me out as well. And right now we have this really solid group of like 7 or 8 people who are super involved with it. And from there they branch out to their separate organizations and they bring even more people. So it's really about creating those connections is what I think I'm trying to say. Any other questions? Sweet, thank you guys so much for.
I'm just curious, like, so just like the garbage, like you see you have the garbage at the back of your school, like, does somebody come and like get your compost and stuff? Like, is there somebody like, or is it just the garbage man just comes and like takes everything? Like, how does that work?
Oh, so with the district, we have a recycling coordinator named Ms. Rubel, and she was able to contact Allied Waste, which is the garbage collector for our school. And what they did is that they have, I think it's there's like 3 garbage trucks that come some separate time during the week, and they come and pick up the individual bins.
So what do
which is
they
really balanced.
do with the compost? Do they like
The
just...
compost is sent to, the food scrap is sent to a composting center, I think.
Oh, okay.
And from there they distribute it. And we even put some in, we put a little bit because there was some regulations on it. We put a little bit in our school garden,
Yeah.
which is another project we started to do that.
Oh, okay.
That was really fun as well. So thanks guys for